Hi, my name is Preston from Miller Trailer Sales, and I'm going to do a walkthrough on this beautiful new 2021 Boondock Tab 320 CSS. We're going to start with the box. The box has a lot to offer. First of all, I want to show you, we've got two sets of keys. The black key opens the door, and to lock it, you would turn it to the left. To unlock it, you turn it to the right. You can see how it turns the latch when you go over to the right, and that's what's happening when I open this. There is one thing you should never do, and that is lock it and slam the door. If you do that, I guarantee you, you will bend this and you'll spend a lot of time readjusting it so that it can work again. So, when you're inside, you press down to open it. When you want to go to bed, you lock it. When you lock it from the outside, you close the door, you turn it to the left, and you check the lock. To open it, you turn it to the right, come straight out, and you're ready to open. It's like an aircraft door. It has a lot of support for it. It's quite a nice arrangement. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you would be the rest of the box. This is a gift pack. It has a plastic pressure water regulator. It has your flashlight, bar of soap, deck of playing cards, warranty registration for your tires. It has two spare fuses for the Aldi system. It has a connector so you can do a quick disconnect on the propane. By putting this into an appliance, you can actually run a grill off the back of the propane system. And you have the team that made it. Welcome from the CEO, Scott Hubble, the CEO. And on the back is allproadventures.com, where you can shop for things like tents and bike racks and other things you might want to add to the camper. We have a 3-year structural warranty, we have a 1-year warranty on everything else, and we have many items that are excluded from warranty because they have their own warranty. For example, the dome on the Fantastic Fan vent usually has a lifetime warranty. All those warranties are summarized in a sheet that we give you that and all those separate warranties are in here if you care to read them. One very important book would be the Aldi system. The Aldi system is the boiler that does the hot water and the radiant heat. This has radiators for very good reason. In a small camper like this, if you had a forced air system, typically you would have a heater that comes on, makes a lot of noise, blows the air around, makes it too hot, and then it shuts off, and then the trailer gets too cold. Then it comes back on and makes noise. With this Aldi system, we don't have noise. We have radiators that quietly do their job, circulating glycol through the radiators to keep the trailer at the right temperature. And besides that, it also does the domestic hot water. So you've got a boiler that does both heat and hot water. And in this book, there are diagrams that show what you need to press on the touch screen to make it work. The first one, since this touch screen would be hard to see, I want to just give you an example. The first one, at the top, you set the thermostat for the room temperature in there. The next one would be water. You select on, minus would be off, plus would be to turn it on, and there's a boosted level that gives you extra hot water, like before you would shower. The next thing you see is a lightning bolt. That indicates electric operation of the boiler. That is, the heating for the boiler would come from heating elements that are in the glycol. They can never burn out because they're in the glycol. They're not going to burn out from not having water in the tank. If the water tank's empty, it doesn't really care. It still gives you heat. So in the winter time, you can go camping, enjoy the good heat, and if you're in freezing temperatures, no problem. This can really handle some cold temperatures. You have either a selection of 1,000 watts or 2,000 watts. The reason for that is so that if you want to be plugged into a 20 amp breaker. Like when we were at Dingman's Ferry last July, a lot of the campsites did not have 30 amp, they had only 20 amp. So we could plug into the 20 amp and still run hot water through the electric and still run the air conditioner at the same time because we were able to keep it under 20 amps. Of course, in that situation, you could also select propane. By doing that, you don't need any power for heating the hot water. It would just come from the propane. It actually heats faster because it'll put out 18,000 BTU on propane operation. And you can run it on both for those really cold nights. When you want to see what's happening in the boiler, you can actually see temperatures by pressing on this gear and going down 3 frames to the word service. It'll show both the glycol temperature and the domestic hot water temperature and whether your combustion fan is running to burn the fuel. And that's a good way to know if the heater is running without going outside to see if there's exhaust coming out the side. So there, all the symbols are explained. Very great book. There's also a mixing valve that I'm going to show you. The mixing valve can be adjusted to set the hot water temperature at your sink. They set it to the coldest temperature possible when they produce the campers. I find that setting it even to the hottest temperature is not too hot for most people. You can actually increase the maximum temperature by pulling the knob off, undoing the screw, pulling the knob off, and going past the stop. And that's what this mixing valve sheet will tell you about. All right, we're going to go into the next manual would be on the air conditioner, Air 8. It's a very high quality central air unit, and the beauty of it is it does not draw a lot of power. This is a touch screen system, and the icons for that are explained right here on page 6 of this blue Air 8 folder. New for 2021 also is the Nautilus system, which allows you to do all your winterizing from outside the camper rather than having to go inside underneath the floor or underneath the seat. And you can get that manual. It's a 16-page manual that you can get online. Also new for 21 is the cassette toilet, and I'll show you how that works. The standard for the RV industry is the Jensen. It's a 12-volt entertainment system, so you can be boondocking and still have your tunes and your TV. There's a remote control for your radio and for the television. This one has the ability to put in a DVD player and run it in through the box that they have there for you. There's an HDMI cable and there's a USB cable that would need to be connected, and Sam will shoot a shot of that for you as well. All right, enough for the things that are in the box. One thing I did forget though was this socket is for taking the spare tire down. The spare tire lift is right inside the tub here, in the bottom in front of the battery, right down at the bottom there. So that black is a place that you would put your socket on, and then you could ratchet down the spare tire. It's on a cable, a little better system than we had when it was underneath the back. All right, I want to do a walk around the outside of the trailer first. Here you have a grip for the door, so you can be assured the wind isn't going to play with it too much. Place to put some information. This is a trash can, and if it gets dirty inside, you can take it out. We put a plastic bag inside of there, and usually stays pretty clean, but at the end of the camping trip, or if something spills, it's nice to be able to lift that out to clean it. fire extinguisher. We've got the screen door. The big step comes with the boondock trailers. Here we have the 120 volt power, so you can do your coffee outside or pancakes in a fry pan, electric fry pan. You got the outdoor mount for your table. We've got the stabilizer jacks. The freshwater drain is right here behind the wheel, counterclockwise to open. Your stabilizer jack crank would be inside, and although it looks like it would be challenging to get out of here, it really is not. I'm going to lift on the bed. I'm going to lift on this front of the bed. And now I can reach right down inside and get my stabilizer jack crank. And that's the last time I'm going to take it out of there, because I'm going to put it in the front tub for you. Stabilizer jacks are on all four corners, and they go in from the side. This handle works really well. If you want to speed things up, you can get an attachment for your drill and do it that way. But just be careful of your wrist. If you have a powerful drill, you could break your wrist when you use that. So there is room in the front tub to put this handle. You have to calculate which is the best place for you to put it. But I think that strapping it right to the battery case would be a great way to carry it. So you have the stabilizer jacks at all four corners. Coming back to the back hatch, I want to just point out a few things. These edges are very sharp. So when you bring this door down, be sure you don't have any children around that would run in and hurt their head on the door. We have an overhead light. We have two speakers outside. We have pass-through cabinetry, so if you want to serve somebody who's sitting inside while you're out in the rain cooking, you can do that. Or under a tent out in the rain. You got the 2-burner cooktop with automatic light. This one is pretty special. And I smell it. Did not light yet. I'll demonstrate that later. Got the Norcold fridge with a freezer compartment. We'll turn it on a while so it's nice and cold when we get up there. It's got storage for the milk and whatever else you store in there, in the door. We've got the microwave, and you see that the carousel is protected. Even after you take it out of its wrapping, you want to be sure to wrap up the carousel with the wheels and put it on top. Wrap up the glass and put the carousel on top so it doesn't break the wheels when you're going down the bumpy roads. The new self-closing doors. We have a lot of space under here compared to what we used to have. The plumbing has been rerouted to the Nautilus system, and it's quite a spacious cabinetry here. You can see we have the microwave plugged in right at the side here. The cord for that is right there. The sink, the underside of the sink here, you've got your red PEX would be hot water, blue would be cold. Your outdoor shower is right here. And the hose could get tangled up, especially in the winter time. It can get tangled up, but it's easy to open the door there and get to it. In the summertime, it works great. It's very easy to work with. cold and hot water. If you leave them both on at the same time, you might get some circulation through. And if you're taking a shower and both these knobs are open with the shower off, you could get some blending of cold into the hot and make your shower a little cooler. So you want to be sure to turn those off when you're through. And here we have that Nautilus system we talked about. The nice thing about this is you can fill your freshwater tank by turning these knobs. You can adjust from tank fill city water connection to sanitizing. You have a pump right here so you can draw the antifreeze in when you go to winterize it or when you sanitize it. You have control of the water pump that's on the other side right there. You have your drains outside, so you can just open and drain the valves right here. That was the hot, that's the cold. You've got a way to get your water hose in the bottom to connect right here to your water connection. You have what has been common on the Tab 400, a normal and a bypass position for your heater. Everything is simplified compared with what it used to be for winterizing by having everything in one location. Another neat feature is you have a light. So if you're doing this in the dark, you can turn on the light and see what you're doing when you're setting up at night. This is the Aldi system exhaust. So when it's running on propane, the exhaust comes out here and the fresh air goes in the sides. There's a tube about that large in diameter that takes the air in, and then a small tube for the exhaust to come out. This would be your 30 amp power connection. On a 30 amp system, the one with the little hook on it is your ground. When you put it in, you twist it and it stays. There is another little collar on your new cord that allows you to put the collar on and make it stay even better. Here we have that wonderful cassette toilet. I say wonderful because when you go camping in the winter, you can still use the toilet. And then in the morning, just simply pull it out. And take it to a dump station or the restroom. Use my foot. And now I can take and pour it into the dump station. Pour it into the sewer at the dump station. I think I'll put this on the ledge. Now I can lift it up, press the button to let air in, and pour it out into the dump, into the sewer. When I slide it back in, it's going to open up this door so that when you operate the toilet, it twists and it opens that flap. Okay, so that's automatically done through flushing the toilet inside. But it's a very neat, well thought out system, and with additives they give you to put into the tank, it doesn't smell bad either. So I'm going to slide this back in. Looks like we have a little door underneath here for extra drainage. I didn't really look at that before. Okay, so I take and slide it back into place. That needs to be where it belongs. And this latches down in to hold it in place. And now, when I would use the toilet inside, it would automatically open that valve, flapper valve. There's also a key so you can lock this up so that you don't have anybody trying to play tricks on you and pull it out. That would be a disaster. Okay, we've gone around the whole outside. We've got the aluminum platform on this. It's really nice for putting the generator. It's nice for standing on if you are reaching to wash the top of the trailer. I want to point out the battery disconnect here. This battery disconnect should be shut off whenever you are leaving the trailer and not using it. And the red shows when it's shut off. The green shows when it's on. And this battery is a Group 31, has 130 ampere hours of power. The standard battery that I've been putting in has 85, so I upgraded this one for you. There's still a lot of extra storage room for sewer hose, water hose, whatever else you want to keep in the tub here. This is some of that Ecosmart holding tank deodorant, and you only need a very small amount. It says pour 4 ounces per 40 gallon, so 1 ounce would do 10 gallons. That's even a 5 gallon, so a ½ ounce of this will help to break down odor control and waste digestion biodegradable liquid. So you'll add that through the toilet right at the top, or you could put it into the holding tank when you do the dump. All right, let's go inside. Nice wide step on the boondock. We have the outdoor light, porch light, revised version there from what it used to be. Inside, I want to show you the control panel. Okay, I want to show you the control panel for the tank monitor system. I've got the porch light, I've got the water pump, I've got the sink, I've got accent lights. I've got a battery status switch right there, and it's fully charged, and it's charging because I have it plugged into power. I've got fresh tank, which is showing empty, gray, and black. The black tank, of course, is not in use. Over here we have 2 small cabinets. They do make a little noise when you close them. You want to be careful when you bring them down. One of the things I like to point out is the fact that all these windows can be set to a ½ gap position. If you're going away hiking for the day and you expect the camper to be pretty hot inside when you get back, you can minimize that effect by putting it into the slot that gives you a ½ gap instead of leaving it, bringing it all the way in. Now, the only time you would do that is when you are using the camper. When you're traveling with it, you would want them closed. Otherwise, dusty roads or rain would work its way to the inside. So the ½ gap should be used only when you want to ventilate and keep it locked. When you are using these windows normally, you want to be careful not to open the one on the door side too far, or when you walk out the door, you will hit your head on that window. The windows have a friction lock on the side. Simply screw them down about a ½ a turn to tighten them, 1/4 to ½ a turn. And then you can operate the screen, or you can bring the shade up part way and just have the screen part. When you go to separate them, just simply pull there, and it's simple enough to separate. I want to start at the corner here. We have this nice new cupboard door, and it opens only 70 degrees. You cannot open at 90 degrees because we have a screen door in the way there. But that's plenty of access to get in. In the bottom we have a drawer. We have 2 other doors. I have the power cord in the bottom. And they've done something clever for the power outlets at the top. To keep everything looking clean, they put the outlets inside the cupboard, and they gave you a hole where you can drop down your cords into the inside to keep the whole thing looking neater on top. I really like that. These cabinets have a press to lock feature, and they've worked really well. This access to the bathroom is so much better than what we used to have. The other door was too light, not very positive, and easy to trip over the threshold, whereas this one is much more functional. We still have the same overhead light, a good mirror. We have the famous twist. There's a little rubber button down at the bottom here to grab hold onto. Don't pick off the rivets. If you try twisting them, you will separate the rivet. Toilet tissue holder. And the bathroom is just really special the way they've done up this restroom. Of course, the shower is a little different than what you're used to. You can bring the shower hose up and hang it on the wall. It's probably not something you would actually sit there and spray. You would use it to rinse yourself down as you washed yourself. It's not a shower that's meant to be like a mega shower. For me, it's no problem to reach over and wash at the sink. For some people, it might be more difficult. You might bump your head when you're trying to brush your teeth there. But you can always use the restroom at the campsite or your back sink if your husband will let you do that, or wife, whatever. In any case, I want to show you the functions of this LOL air conditioning control. We've got a touch screen here, and when we press the on, it will bring itself on. Now, I have vents down here that need to be opened. So one set of vents there, one set of vents here. If the vents are not open, of course, you're not getting the air out. And then there would be one more set of vents, I believe, down in the corner on the end. There we go, down on the end. And that one also needs to be opened if we're going to get the cold air out. That sounds better. We can rotate these around. They don't rotate easily, but they do rotate. You just put your fingers in, right in there, put your thumb inside, and you can rotate it whatever you want to do. If you try to do it from the fin, it's not going to work well. You need to reach down inside to turn it, and you'll get it to open where you want it to. Okay, so you can have just the fan function, or you can go to the air condition function. And we should hear the compressor turn on pretty soon. So that is the way we operate that, and there's a touch screen diagram in the book that'll help you with that. Next thing I want to go to, after I turn the fan down for a little less noise, there we go. I want to go to showing you the operation of the table. For some people, the table is hard to understand. The hard part to understand is that this handle, because it cannot rotate around, actually can be twisted to a different position. Now this one, of course, I can rotate all the way around. But what I've got is a tool, a spring-loaded tool, and a nut. So I can rotate that around and around on the nut. But if I get that handle to a position where I can't turn it, like underneath this table, I can take and pull out on my tool and rotate that handle to wherever I want to. This is a nut with splines on it, and pulling it out allows me to rotate that to a position that I can undo that nut however I want. So now I'm going to demonstrate how easy it is to take this table off to put it outside. I'm simply going to put my knee underneath. I've loosened that handle. Now I can take this table, I can take the table pedestal, I can slide it on here. And I can store it when I go to bed at night, or I can take this outside and put it on the outside mount, just like I do on in here. And I can lower it down and use this to tighten it so I can get it to whatever height I want. I can have it high and tighten it with that handle, or I can place it low on the outside mount with that handle and have it at normal seating height. In here, of course, only this lower handle is used, but on the outside of the camper, I could use the upper handle to tighten it, and that would make it so the whole table can be lowered and secured easily. Before I put the table back in place, I'm going to place it aside on the other side here. I want to show you what's underneath these cushions. I'm going to pull that off the wall. I'm going to take and flip that upside down so that I have the two together and I can set them vertically out of the way. Now I'm going to lift up and show you what's in here. I've got a whole section of radiator for the Aldi system. I've got a controller for my solar. I've got a duct coming out of my air conditioner going up to the top. I've got we wrote on there no storage in this compartment because that's the way they want it. They don't want you storing things in here with the electrical. I've got a bleeder for my Aldi system to vent out any air. That's not something you should have to do though. That would be done when it's put together. And I have the ability to slide this out to put my bed together at night. So I'm going to take this pedestal back off so I can pull this all the way out. I can pull it halfway out. I can put that section of cushions on, and my child or whatever can go to sleep here while I'm still sitting there enjoying television program or whatever. In this camper, it's common for people to sleep crosswise. Most of us who use a camper of this design do sleep crosswise. There are some people that actually put bed extensions on, and then they get like 78 inches that they can stretch out on. But this side ends up being short. You have to put your feet diagonally over there if you're going to do it that way. For me and Patsy, it would be easy for us to sleep crosswise here. Under here is that wonderful Aldi system I talked about. This is the back side of the Nautilus, and this is the the temperature valve for the mixing of the water at the sink. They have it set to the coldest position. I'm now going to turn it to the hottest position, and that'll allow it to have hot water that would cut grease. At the coldest position, I guarantee it's not going to cut the grease on your dishes very well. So at the hottest position, I think you'll find it's still safe. If you don't like that temperature, you can pull the screw out, take the knob off, go past the stop and make it hotter, or you can turn it colder if you wish. The Aldi system, our water pump is here, our Nautilus system, all the plumbing access to winterize and to operate is out there for all the valves except the mixing valve. The Aldi system is actually underneath this section. So here we have the aerate working over in the corner. My Aldi system direct vent boiler is right there. I'm going to pull this cover off too. And I've got a slat that's removable so I can get to where the electronics are. And those two fuses that were in the gift box can be used here. There's a glass fuse right there. If your display were to go down on your Aldi system that it just didn't even come on at all, Aldi, proudly made in Sweden, and then it goes to a display showing a plug at the top. That means we're plugged in. It's showing it's 98 degrees here on this wall. We go to the menu. I have my thermostat is the top one. I'm going to set it down to 60. If I want hot water, I turn it on. That would be normal hot water. It'd take up to about 136 or 140. If I press it like that to fill the triangle full, that's about 175. And I can select my power, which would be 1,000 watts, or I can go to 2,000 watts, depending on what campsite I'm in, whether I'm using a 30 amp outlet or a 20, would determine whether I'm going to use electric for my heating. The other option would be pressing the flame, going to the gear, arrow down to the word service, press service. Now we have glycol temperature 84, water temperature 82. Fan rotation, that means the combustion fan is running. It turned on, it's starting to do its work. We'll get hot water here in about 10 minutes. We'll see probably about 135, 140 degrees on that water temperature. Okay, so we're going to go back to menu. I'm going to turn off the hot water and turn off the flame. When everything is blue, you can shut it off and it will be off. If you leave any of those on, if you're plugged in, it'll keep working. Even though you take the display down, it'll keep working. Okay, one more word about these fuses. It is not common for them to go out, but it's been reported that some people say, I lost my display when I unplugged the camper before I turned off my Aldi system. So with that bit of advice, when you break camp, be sure to turn off your Aldi system before you unplug the camper from the power. A power surge is what is going to blow that fuse. If you have a lightning strike or bad ground in the campground, or you take your 7RV plug that goes into the car and you drop it into water and create a short, those kinds of things will zap that fuse and prevent damage to the electronics in your Aldi. And that's what you want. That's why the fuse is there. So this connection goes to your thermostat. This would be a power and ground. I'm not sure what that one's for actually, but in any case, it's a very reliable unit, and it's the unit that I want to have when I go camping, because I get waken up easily by too much change of noise.